I stand here in my sunlit studio in Glasgow, surrounded by canvases splashed with vibrant colors, portraits of weary eyes that hold stories of survival, brushes dipped in hues that once pulled me from the darkness. I'm Sarah McKenzie, a former A&E nurse who's now a full-time artist. My work hanging in galleries and funding a mental health charity for healthcare workers. It's hard to believe this is my life now, you know? But let me take you back, because this didn't happen overnight. It was born from the ashes of burnout, and if you're feeling stuck in your own chaos, maybe my story will light a spark in you. Before the pandemic hit, I was thriving, or at least, that's what I told myself. I'd been a nurse in Glasgow's bustling A&E for over a decade. The kind of job where every shift felt like a battlefield. I loved it. The adrenaline of saving lives. The camaraderie with my team. Mornings started with strong coffee in the break room, chatting with colleagues about weekend plans. "Sarah, you're a machine," my best friend and fellow nurse, Emma, would say, slapping my back after a grueling night. I painted back then too, as a hobby, landscapes from my uni days, tucked away in a dusty corner of my flat. But nursing was my identity. I was the one who held hands during crises, who stayed late to comfort families. Life was predictable. Shifts, sleep, repeat. Then COVID slammed into us like a tidal wave. It started subtly, the exhaustion creeping in. But the major failure moment? That came one freezing February night in 2021. We were overwhelmed, beds overflowing, ventilators beeping like accusations. I was tending to Mr. Thompson, an elderly man with COVID pneumonia, his labored breaths echoing in my ears. He'd been fighting for days, and I promised his daughter on the phone, "I'll take good care of him." But, in the chaos, I mixed up his meds, just a split-second error, caught by a colleague before it harmed him. Still, the charge nurse pulled me aside. "Sarah, what happened? This isn't like you." Her voice was stern, but her eyes showed pity. I froze, the sterile smell of sanitizer burning my nose, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. In that moment, everything shattered. I wasn't the unbreakable nurse anymore. I was failing, endangering lives. The shame hit me like a punch to the gut. I stumbled out of the hospital at dawn, tears streaming down my face in the icy rain. At home, I collapsed on the couch, my uniform still on, reeking of sweat and fear. How could I be so stupid? I whispered to myself, curling into a ball. Frustration boiled over, years of training, and I'd cracked under pressure. PTSD symptoms I'd ignored, nightmares of lifeless bodies, panic attacks in supermarkets now screamed at me. I felt humiliated, like I'd betrayed everyone who trusted me. My husband, Tom, found me there hours later. "Sarah, talk to me," he pleaded, his warm hands on my shoulders. But I pushed him away, sobbing, "I'm broken, Tom. I can't do this anymore." Fear gripped me. What if I hurt someone? What if this was the end of who I was? That rock bottom forced a decision. I took a leave from nursing, my doctor diagnosing severe burnout and PTSD. Therapy helped, but it wasn't enough. One sleepless night, rummaging through old boxes, I found my forgotten paints, dried tubes of cadmium red and ultramarine blue, brushes stiff with neglect. Why not? I thought. I set up a small easel in the living room, the scent of linseed oil filling the air like a forgotten friend. That first stroke on canvas was tentative, a simple sketch of a masked face from memory. It felt silly at first, but as colors blended, tension eased from my shoulders. This was my transformation spark, rediscovering painting not as a hobby, but as survival. The journey was step by step, raw and messy. I started small, committing to 30 minutes a day after therapy sessions. I'd sit with a cup of tea, sketching hospital scenes, nurses' tired smiles behind visors, patients' hopeful eyes. Realistic activities grounded me. Joining an online art class via Zoom, where the instructor said, "Let the emotion guide your brush, Sarah." I experimented with techniques like layering glazes for depth, mixing colors to capture the pallor of illness. But struggles hit hard. Early pieces were awful, muddy tones, proportions off. One night, frustrated, I smeared paint across a canvas in anger, yelling, "This is pointless!" Tom walked in, gently saying, "It's not about perfection, it's about healing." Setbacks piled on. A therapy breakthrough would inspire a painting, only for PTSD flashbacks to derail me, leaving me staring at blank canvas for days. Mini breakthroughs kept me going. After weeks, I finished my first portrait, a self-portrait, with haunted eyes but a hint of resolve. Posting it on Instagram felt vulnerable, but comments like, "This speaks to me," fueled me. I learned practical lessons naturally. Consistency matters more than talent painting, daily built skill. Even on bad days, vulnerability connects. Sharing my story in captions drew others in, and patience is key. Art, like healing, can't be rushed. I upgraded tools gradually, buying better brushes with savings, attending local workshops where artists shared tips on composition. One session, a mentor critiqued my work. "Add more contrast here. It heightens the emotion." I applied it, and pieces improved. The climax came last year at a local art fair, my high-stakes test. I'd submitted hospital-inspired portraits, raw depictions of pandemic heroes. Nerves churned as crowds milled about. A gallery owner approached. "These are powerful, but can you create a series for our mental health exhibit?" It was my dream chance, but doubt whispered, "You're just a nurse pretending." The deadline loomed, triggering a setback, a panic attack. Mid-painting, I pushed through, channeling fear into strokes, finishing with a portrait of Emma, her face etched with exhaustion yet strength. Victory arrived when the series went viral. A tweet of my work exploded. From Frontline to Canvas nurses, art heals hearts. Sales poured in, enough to quit nursing and fund my charity. Brushes for Wellness, providing art therapy for burnt-out medics. The emotional payoff, seeing Tom's proud tears at the launch, hugging me, "You did it, love." My self-identity shifted. I'm not broken, I'm resilient. Pride swells when families message, "Your art helped us process our loss." If you're watching this, feeling trapped like I did, remember, transformation starts with one small step. Rediscover what lights you up, face the mess, and keep going. You have stories worth sharing. Paint them into existence. You've got this.